Alright, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to store data inside of players. You can use this to store anything you want. You can use it to display UI, you can use it to track kills, playtime, level, etc. And today I'm going to show you how to set everything up. So the first thing we're going to want to do is create a new verse file. This one is going to be called Game Manager. And click create. We're gonna need one more as well, and this one is going to be called custom player. So now that you've got your verse scripts created, go on over to your custom player. We're gonna be doing a few things here to prepare it for the game manager. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna delete all of this, and we're just gonna be left with this custom player is class of creative device. We're gonna want to delete this as well, because this is not gonna be a script that we actually place down. And the last thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to do player is of type player. And there we go. This is all we need. So once you've done that, go on over to the game manager. And the first thing that we're going to want to do is delete all of this as well. We want to keep on begin. This is going to be really important. For now, though, let's just create some curly brackets and move that down a little bit. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to create a message, and this is going to be called player spawner message, and it will localize. It's going to be important, and it's going to be of type message, and this is basically a tooltip. So for someone who is viewing the game manager, if they hover over it, it will display whatever's in this quotations. So in this case, we're going to say these are all of the player spawners, just like that. And then on the lines below it, we're going to do @editable with a colon. This is really important. Tooltip equals player spawners message. And this is going to be player spawners. It's going to be of type array player spawner device, and then this is going to be equal to just an empty array, just like that. I forgot the S. So the next thing that we're going to need is a custom players map, and this is going to be a key value pair. So the key is of type player, and the value is the class that we created earlier, which is the custom player, and this is going to be of type map. And you can kind of think of this as an array of custom players, and then if you want to look up a specific member of this array, then you have the key, which is the player. And this will allow us to create an instance of this class for every player in the map. Okay, so before we touch the onBegin function, we're going to want to create a few functions before that. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is init spawners, and this will return nothing, so we set it to void. And then we're going to do for player spawner of player spawners. We're going to do player spawner dot spawned event subscribe on player spawned. And basically what this is going to do is for every single player spawner inside of this array, it will essentially subscribe to when a player spawns on it. And the next thing we're going to do is on player spawned, and it needs type agent, and it will also return nothing. We're going to do if player equals player agent. This is a conversion function. It basically converts this agent into a player. And a fun fact, you might not have known this, a player will always be an agent, but an agent might not always be a player. And it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. And I'll see if I can create an example of that in this video, but keep that in mind. You can always use a player in place of an agent. But with that out of the way, we're then going to want to do init player, and we're going to give it the player. Down here, we're going to create another function, and this is going to be called init player, and it takes type player, and then this is also not going to return anything. And what we're going to do is we're going to define a few values. So we're going to do if fort character equals player.get fort character. There we go. Oh my goodness. Did you forget to specify using fortnite.com/characters? We want to add that module in. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do is if exists, or actually let's be more clear. If player exists, and this is going to be equal to the custom players map that we created, and it's of index player. So this is basically checking that if a player spawns on the spawn pad, if they already exist within this map, then don't add them to it, because that's what we're about to do. We're about to add them to the map, because we wouldn't want the same player having multiple of these classes. We want to keep it one per player. So if they exist, we're going to do nothing. However, if they don't exist, we're going to create a variable called custom player is of type custom player, and that's the class that we created. And the default value of this is going to be player is equal to player, or excuse me, capital P here. Forgot this as well. There we go. And basically what this is doing is, so in this custom player class, this value exists in the class, but we're setting this player right here, they're connected, we're setting the player in this function to the same player as the one in the class that we created. Now, once we've defined that, we're going to do if set custom players, and then the index of this player equal to this value that we just created here, custom player. Once we have them added to this, this is where you can do your initialization of this, of all your values and whatnot. So we're going to want to create a function in the class here, and for now let's just do let's call it init, and then this will just return nothing. And then there we go. So now that we have this init function, we're going to call it right here, custom player.init. And any logic that we have here for setting up the player and preparing them for the map, all of that can take place here. And the nice part is, for instance, if I wanted to do something, and let's say we want to set their health to 150. Normally a function would need a player or an agent in here to do that, and you can see that here, player, we pass that into these fort character definition. But because the entire class has a player, we can just call it regularly. We can do if fort character equals player dot get fort character, and then it's probably going to yell at us here because we need to use Fortnite.com characters. There we go. But you can see here, without ever passing that into this function here, it's already a part of the class. So going with my example earlier, we can say fort character dot set max health to 150, and then fort character dot heal, and I'll just do 999. And now whenever a player spawns in for the first time, they will be run through all of this, and this should set their health to 150, and it will heal them to full health. Before any of this code will work, we need to first call the init spawners on begin. And this will basically just prepare them so that if a player spawns in, it'll run through all of this. So now that we've gotten that taken care of, let's go ahead and drag the game manager into the world. And now that we've got the game manager in, we're going to want to create the spawners. And so we're going to click the plus icon, and we're going to dropper tool on both of these. There we go. So now that we're loaded in, you can see here that I do have 150 HP, and that is purely because of the custom player. You can see here in the island settings, it says max HP is 100 by default, but in game we had 150 like I just showed. So let's actually take this a step further and go ahead and create a few variables. The first ones that come to mind most easily would be like variable eliminations, and this is just going to be of type int, and it's going to be 0. And maybe another one could be like deaths is of type int, and that could also be 0. And let's do one more. Let's say XP, for example, and this one can be type float. So what can we actually do with these variables? The first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create functions that adjust the variables for us. So for example, let's do set eliminations, and this is going to take a value. So let's do of type value, and it'll be int because the eliminations are also in int, and it will return nothing. And the logic in this function is relatively easy. All we're going to do is we're going to do new, or I mean, we don't even need to make a variable. All we can do is we can just do set eliminations equal to value. Similarly, we can do add eliminations, and that can be value of type int because it will need to add a value to it. Or it'll return nothing. And we can do set eliminations plus equal to value. I'm going to go ahead and create a few more for the deaths and the XP. So to help you visualize these functions, I'm going to create a few developer buttons, if you will. And these are just going to be a representation of like actual game events. So like if a player dies, you would need to set up the logic for like when they die, or how to handle when a player dies. But in this case, I'm just going to do a button. I'll do set death button. It's just going to be of type button device, and then it's equal to button device. I'm going to create 2 more of those, and in fact we could probably just copy paste these, and instead we can do elimination button and XP button. We're going to do set death button dot interacted with events dot subscribe, and then we're just going to do set death, and then we can do this once again, just copy them, and we can do elimination and XP. Now at the bottom, I'm going to do set death is agent, and we're gonna do set eliminations, or set elimination takes type agent, and then finally we're gonna do set XP. And because these are all buttons, they require an agent. All we would do is we would do if player is of type player agent, remember we need to convert it, and then custom player is of type custom players dot, or not dot, players specifically. So that's the key. So this custom player class specifically, then we can call it, we can do custom player dot set death, and then we're just gonna do set it to 10. I forgot the S there, so set deaths to 10. And then we're also going to do print, and then we're also going to do print, we can do deaths is now, and then we'll do custom player dot deaths. And then we can go ahead and copy these. And actually instead I'll do add elimination. Gotta update. There we go, add elimination. And then we're going to do add elimination. I forgot the S once again. Be careful of your function names. Let's do, I don't know, 5. Okay, so every time we click this button, it will add 5. And I'm going to do elims is now eliminations. And then let's actually do subtract XP. And we're just going to copy this over, and we're going to do custom player add XP. And we're going to do minus, I don't know, 2.37. There we go, because it's a float. And we're going to do XP is now custom player dot XP. And I forgot, need to update that to subtract XP. And what we'll do also, if custom player dot deaths equals 10, then print player already has 10 deaths. Now that we have that set up, we need to bring out 3 buttons. Set deaths. This one is going to be add eliminations, and then we're going to do subtract XP. And just like the player spawners, don't forget to link them to the game manager. And let's give this a try. So something that I'm going to do really quickly is I need to move this if statement above this right here. So if we have it this way, it'll actually show us the changing of the value. So now that we actually have the game loaded up here, you can see set deaths. And when we click this, it'll say deaths is now 10. Notice how it wasn't 10 before, it didn't flag us. But if we click it again, it'll say player already has 10 deaths. If we add eliminations, it says elims is now 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, etc., etc. And if we subtract it, it'll keep going and going and going into the negatives. Similarly, if we respawn and we're dead, our health will return back to 0 because of the way that we use the fort character in the init function, so we can see that it did not initialize us again. But if we set our deaths, you can see we already have 10. Now we have 30 because it remembered that we had 25 from last time. And we also have, 33, minus 33 XP because it's keeping track of the variables for each player as they play. However, if I end the game and I load it back up again, you will find out that the variables are back where they started at 0. So, it didn't flag us, but now it is. We have 5 eliminations, and we only have minus 2 XP. So that is the only downside to the custom player. It is extremely, extremely useful for tracking, kills, tracking, stats within one game. However, if you do want to set up persistence, then I can talk about that in another video. If there's enough interest, I'll go through a full breakdown just like this video, and I will give you one of the most in-depth explanations of storing, saving, loading player data. But now that that's out of the way, let's see what else we can do. So another thing that I want to talk to you about is what do we do when a player leaves? All maps should have some sort of cleanup or like restoration when a player leaves, just to reduce lag and to really just make it a better experience for the players who are playing your game. The first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to do get play space, and basically what that's going to do is just get all the data from this session or this server that the players are playing on. We're going to do player removed event. That's when someone leaves. And then we're going to subscribe to it on player removed. But once we've done that, go ahead and create a new function. And this is going to take type player leaving is of type player. And it's going to return nothing. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we do any kind of clean up any assets or data from the leaving player. So if custom player dot, or not dot, but is equal to custom players player leaving, we're going to do basically just clean up any assets or data from the leaving player. And an example of that could be like custom player dot dispose. There we go. I won't be going over the specifics of that, but again, if that's something you want to see in the future, let me know. But just be aware of that. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to create a new map. And this is going to be called new custom player map. And it's going to be the exact same thing. It's going to have a key of a player, and it's going to be a value custom player. And this is going to be equal to an empty map. What we're going to do is we're going to create a key value of custom players, key player leaving. We're also going to do set new custom player map is equal to concatenate, there we go, I can never spell that, concatenate maps new custom player map, and then map is key value. There we go. And this may be pretty confusing, but what we're basically doing here is we're taking all of the players except for the player who left, and we're adding that to this new map. So this new map has everyone else in the lobby except for the player, or except for the index that left. The last thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to do custom players, and we just set that to the new custom player map. This will essentially remove the player that left. That's basically it. So this is how you can handle a player leaving. Once again, if you have any data you need to dispose of, this is where you would do it, or this is where you would call that function inside of your custom player. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is what do you do if you want to reference this custom player inside of another device. I'm just going to create an example device. I'm just going to, let's call this the XP manager, right? And this can be any type of device, but in this case, I'm just going to create this as an example for you. This might not be XP. This could be an eliminations manager. This could be like a zombie manager, currency manager. It's really any type of device that you can think of. Any place that you want to reference your custom player, this is what you will need. I'm going to create a message called game manager message. And this will once again localizes of type message. And let's say this device is in control of player initialization, or whatever makes the most sense to you. Write that, whatever helps you understand what's happening, put that inside of those quotation marks. And we're going to do editable with a tooltip of game manager message, and this is going to be game manager. And this is just going to be the device that we created earlier. And so now all we would need to do is create an XP related event. I'm actually just going to copy this set XP button here. And I'm going to move that over here and move this function over here as well. And then as well as this set XP button. We're going to subscribe to that function here. So you can see it's saying unknown identifier, custom players. What is that? You want to do game manager dot custom players, and this is super important because if I create a variable called custom players, and this is going to be player custom player, and then it's type map, it's empty. If we create a new button and then we do set add XP button, I'm actually just going to copy this and I'm going to do add XP as a new function. And then so if we do the same thing, if player is equal to the conversion function of the agent, and the custom player is equal to custom players dot players. So you can see here that this is a map right here, custom players. And let's do then print, actually let's do custom player dot add XP. Let's just do 2.37 to counterbalance that. We do print XP is now custom player dot XP. And then also what we're going to do is we're going to add an else statement that says else print fail to identify, or actually fail to define custom player. Now let's go ahead and drag this XP manager into the world, and I'm going to link the game manager, the set XP button, I believe it was this one. Nope, that is the eliminations. Where is it at? Is it this one? Yeah, there we go. So set XP, the add XP button, let's just make a fourth button here. Let's do add XP. And we will link that as well. Alright, so now that we have it loaded up again, you can see that the deaths, these button is coming from the game manager. That works properly. The eliminations is working properly, right? That's also coming from the game manager. And the subtract XP is also working correctly because it is referencing the game manager in the code. However, if I add XP, it says failed to define custom player. And this is because this custom players map is not the same custom players map as the one in the game manager. And that is super important. It took me a really long time to figure this out, I'll be honest. You really want to have one custom player map. And so to fix this, what you're going to want to do is delete this custom players map, just get rid of it entirely. And as we did up here in the subtract XP, do game manager dot custom players. And you can see now, once we're in the game again, I can subtract the XP, but I can add the XP as well. So it works in both directions. You can see I'm at 0, now I'm positive, now I'm negative again, and it's all because I am referencing the game manager from this level manager right here. And just like that, you have everything you need to get started with custom players. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a like. It helps out the channel a lot. If you need help or you want to meet like-minded developers, feel free to join the Discord. I'll be putting a link down in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.